Stick around for the name and cover reveal of my latest zine and learn how you can order it. Today we're talking about risk. So this was a case of something I might reshoot, but I'm not sure, but I went with it anyway. And this goes with today's theme, which is quote unquote taking risks. We went out here and it was a little late. I had another shoot before that, and then I had to race over here, and the sun is setting earlier and earlier this time of year. It's just a toss-up sometimes if you can catch it. You don't know how fast it's going to set on any given location, but I went with it anyway, and I was hoping to catch a little blue hour, and I could have brought some flash out here, but I wanted to see how it looked naturally without tossing mysterious other lights into it. I was going for my end of summer vibe still, and just kind of a melancholy by the water, reading a book, enjoying the end of summer, I guess. The sun was nearly perfectly positioned. It was behind some clouds though, so it's just a little bit too weak for me, but you can judge for yourself. I might reshoot this soon. I'm still on the fence about it, but I've barely had any time to actually look at these, and that's pretty important to look at photographs after you've made them, not to just use your snap judgment on them. The snap judgments can be pretty useful when editing, but it also helps to look back, and a lot of times you'll find that you have a lot more good stuff than you think. Because if you ask me right away how I feel about a shoot, I'm probably going to hate it. But over time, you'll start seeing it differently, and your expectations will fade, and just the reality of the shoot will remain. So these photos are not even a week old, and we'll see how these age. But in the meantime, I think I got some nice ones. If you like these looks behind the scenes and philosophical ramblings about what I'm taking photos of and my various art making projects, subscribe to my channel. Like I said, this week we're talking about risk in photography, and that's kind of a silly term. I had a graduate professor who had a great outlook on risk in art. The idea is that we say, oh, I'm going to take a risk and do this or that in art. It's like, you're not really going to take a risk. Taking a risk is something people do with actual stakes, you know. So you could have career risks and things like that. But for the most part, what you're thinking of doing in your artwork is probably not like an actual risk. That helps put it into perspective. It's not such a big deal. And photography is great because it's not like you're doing with painting and you're doing this like 2 or 3 month long painting the size of a wall using all kinds of resources. You're putting a lot of effort in, but your input and your resources are not necessarily just crushing you if you decide that this thing that you did was a mistake. And that's one of the reasons I like it. Other art does have sketches. In photography, you can sketch your work too. We think of risk in art. It's like, oh, I don't know, this subject matter is just, it's risky for me, or I'm going to try a new technique. And it's like, that's not really a risk. So just do it. If it sucks, then move on. Your card could corrupt at the end of a lengthy and expensive shoot, and you lose everything, or your hard drive goes kaput, or your laptop gets stolen. Your film gets spoiled. You could lose that anyway. So if you shoot black and white instead of color, or use weird lighting, who cares? In most cases, you'll just get to retake the photos, and you should be open to retaking the photos anyway. And we've covered this before. Don't get too caught up in how risky things are. And I had an elaborate idea where I was going to transition from risk taking to how to figure out what to take a risk on. But I had my camera ready, and I was going to ride a bike around downtown, and which is a thing I'm doing now occasionally. And well, this is what happened. So yeah, I forgot the camera. I didn't get any of that footage. But the idea is using my zines, actually. The second zine is about halfway finished. It has a title to it, and I'm revealing it right here. It is Uncertain Sunlight. It's actually a line from a poem. Let me know if you know which poem I'm talking about. It's going to be somewhere between 40 and 50 pages long. I'll have about 30 to 40 photos in it. All new. There will be some writing, possibly also not by me. And it is available for pre-order on my website for $15. It will probably cost about $25 new. I'll run the pre-order for about a month. So you have until about November 10th to get this thing. And it would be cool if you ordered it. The link to order it is in the description. And if you want, however, to get every zine, regardless of the cost, with a print every month and also an extra print with every zine, join my Patreon. Everyone who joins Patreon will receive a discount code on my zines, and I will get those to you accordingly if you're a patron. I'd like to welcome my new patron, Wes, who is my 7th patron, which is awesome. Thank you. I appreciate all of you. Let's take a look at the zine process before we move on this week. And the zine process, I'm going to show you some rough layouts from my first zine, which is still available on my website, by the way, if you go into the link in the description. I roughly, by this 3rd or 4th or 5th iteration, had roughly the layout that I wound up with. But there were some strange things, or some test spots, or some things I switched out. And you'll see to the side of the page on what's known as the pasteboard, a lot of extra photographs that were candidates for the zine, and they just didn't fit in the end. And you'll see placeholders and just spots I wasn't completely sure about. I've been doing layout and design for close to 20 years now, so it's pretty easy for me to figure out, but you would do well to print out little copies of all these pictures, lay them out, sketch out every page, wireframing as they call it now. And I did wireframe this a little bit. I just don't have the pages laying around anywhere. So you just keep doing that. And like I mentioned, my latest zine is being laid out in just this way, but hopefully you got something out of this. What would actually be a risk for you? Let me know in the comments. Click the like button on the video because it lets me know that you like it, which is cool. Turn on notifications. Leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. It's a lot of fun chatting in the comments. I really enjoy it, and hopefully you do too. And I will be back here next week. I'll see you later.